Hi guys! So it is time for a little update. So I took a week off from social media, from work pretty much, since I am a content creator, and the reason why I took a break is because my body pretty much forced me into taking a break. So what happened was, about a week ago, I went to the ER because my neck was hurting, and it had been hurting for about 3 weeks, okay? And I'm the type of person who, when something feels off in my body, I'm very in my body, very in my head. So I get pretty anxious when something feels off, and basically my anxiety was like skyrocketing because of my neck being in pain. And if you ask why I didn't go to the doctor, it's because I was just worried about my medical insurance and I was avoiding it. Don't do that like I did. Going to the ER because I think I was basically having a mild panic attack by the time I went. It's not funny, but like looking back on it, it is now. Just because I know myself so well, and I know that I always do this to myself. Like, I get a lot of anxiety about something so small, and I basically turn it into something a little bit bigger than it is. But that's not the point. The point is I did have a neck strain. So what the doctor ended up telling me was I had a neck strain that was probably due to stress and probably my posture, like the way that I'm sitting. You know, I sit a lot more than I ever have at any job because I'm just home, working, filming, like that's all I do. So my posture hasn't been the best. I've been sitting on the floor, sitting on the couch, like just editing like crazy everywhere and not being mindful of my posture. So he basically said I had a neck strain due to stress, which, you know, in hindsight makes so much sense. A few weeks before, I was starting to feel burnt out, but here's the thing. You know, ever since we moved to LA, it has been like 7 months now that we've been in LA. I pretty much have had what feels like is my foot on the gas, like 100 miles per hour since we moved here. Just going crazy, you know, just so grateful that we're here, grateful that I'm able to do what I love as my job. Like, it's a dream come true. It's not as stable, it's not as consistent as, you know, a 9 to 5, but you know, I'm doing pretty well for myself, and I've just been growing like crazy. I just feel like everything was going so well, and I felt like, you know, just as of recently, I've been hitting a lot of momentum in my career. I've been, you know, like my plan currently is growth. Like, I'm in the growth stages of my career. This really feels like year 1, honestly, of my career, like full blown. So I've just been in growth mode, in go mode. When I was doing that, I realized that I wasn't taking breaks, and I did start to feel burned out like a month ago, but I kind of just like bypassed that feeling because, like, you know, I love it so much that I didn't feel like I wanted to stop. Like, I love, you know, showing up for you guys, connecting with you guys. Like, it really makes my day. It's really just like a dream come true to do what I do. So for me, I just didn't want to take my foot off the gas. Like, everything felt good, but I did start feeling symptoms of burnout like a month ago, and I just kept pushing through. You know, I took a week off, okay? So I basically, after the ER, I told myself, like, okay, look, I just need to take a break, because even Russ told me, he's like, you've been working so hard, like, you've been working more than normal, I feel like. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, like, you've been going really hard. He's like, just relax, just rest, like, take a break. And I'm like, no. And I kept like denying it, and I didn't want to do it, but then I was like, why do I feel like this? Like, why do I feel like I can't take a break? And I basically came to the conclusion that it's because, you know, in social media, sometimes there's a huge fear around, if you know, take a break, you log off for a little bit, you're gonna be forgotten because so many things are happening. There's so many people online, and you just feel like you're gonna lose your place in the race. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, I escaped one rat race, but I'm just like in another one. Even though I'm like so blessed and I love it so much, it does feel like a race sometimes. And I felt like if I were to take a break, I'm gonna lose all of my momentum, everything I worked for. But I want to come here to tell you guys this, that basically that did not happen. That was like so far from the truth. And to not be scared to take a break. Like, everything that is yours is already yours, and that's something that I truly believe in. And I had to keep constantly reminding myself throughout the break, was like, whatever is mine is already mine. Like, this little break, this little hiccup in my story isn't gonna like be my downfall or make me lose everything that I worked so hard for. So I constantly reminded myself that, you know, whatever's mine is mine already, and this is just something that I have to do, something the universe forced me into by using my body as a sign to like, hold on, take a break, slow down, stop, reset, focus, refocus. So other things that I noticed in hindsight, really important to me to share because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's just so crazy to me because anxiety is something that I dealt with. We can't remember if I had it in 2020 or 2021, but that was like the first time I ever had it before. If you guys know me or you've heard me talk about it, I had it really bad, either 2020 or 2021, but it was really bad. I was having panic attacks, and I've never like had anxiety before like that. And I just remember it being like the darkest time in my life. Like, it's just very, very scary to have anxiety like that. And I was like, when I got through that time of my life, I was like, I never ever want to feel like this again. Like, I felt like I crawled myself out of a really dark place, and I was just like, I never want to experience this again. This is the worst feeling ever. Like, I pray that I never go through that again. Like, it took such a toll on me, and it was just so scary dealing with mental health stuff like that. And oh God, it was just too much. And you know, I got myself out of it, and basically my neck pain like gave me anxiety. So for me, the anxiety was actually coming from my neck pain and not knowing what it was stemming from. And there's so many things I should have done. Like, I should have gone to the doctor sooner, but I didn't. But it ended up not being something like super serious anyways that the doctor could really help me with, because he said it was just due to stress. I mean, it was like that night I went to the ER at night, and I was just like, you know, like, I had the worst anxiety that day over the whole entire thing. And Russ's sister and her boyfriend were visiting, and they were like, oh, she was like, do you feel better? And I was like, honestly, like, I feel a little bit better. Like, I wanted to go to the doctor just for peace of mind, because it's like deep down I knew there wasn't something seriously wrong with me, but I couldn't get like my neck under control, like the pain under control. And you guys, I bought so much medicine. Let me just list what I bought, okay? I bought throat lozenges, I bought Vicks, I bought allergy medicine, I bought 2 different types of vitamins. Like, I spent so much money just getting all of that stuff. So she asked me if I felt better, and I was like, to be honest, I thought I would feel a little bit more better than what I did. I think the anxiety was just too high to just like let go of once he told me like, oh, nothing's wrong. Like, he literally just felt my neck and was like, okay, well, there's nothing that's concerning. You don't have like a drop off. So he's like, and you had no traumatic injuries. So he's like, I think your neck is just strained from doing something. And he's like, if you don't have an injury, then I'm not too worried. I don't feel anything. And I was like, oh, well, my like throat is hurting too. And so he looked and he's like, nope, everything looks normal. So I was like, okay. So he's like, I'm gonna give you some medicine and then you can go home. And the medicine turned out to be muscle relaxers, and he gave me a prescription as well. They offered me to take a shot for my pain. I did not take that. I was like, okay, that's just going too far now, because just being at the ER and feeling like I was in good hands if like I were to pass out, because that was my physical symptom, was I felt like so lightheaded that I was on the brink of passing out. Like, that's how stressed I was making myself. So I felt like I was in good hands there. So my anxiety did like settle a little bit, and I took the medicine, which was muscle relaxers, I found out after. And I had the best, I had the best sleep I had had in like 3 weeks that night. But you guys, it was hard to get rid of. It was hard because I kept going through like cycles of like my neck hurting and it causing me anxiety, and basically my anxiety was causing my neck to hurt. So I was like stuck in like a really vicious cycle and what I call a loop, which is exactly what happened to me last time I had anxiety like this. I get like a loop starts to happen in my head where something feels off, and then I start to feel anxious about it, and I get like physical symptoms. And it's crazy because my physical symptoms weren't the same as last time. But in my mind, I was able to recognize what the physical symptoms were each time. And definitely when I felt anxiety, my neck would hurt more. So I was like, oh my God, they're 100% linked to each other. So like, I just need to relax and like stop letting the anxiety take over, which is like so much easier said than done. Like, I definitely know that for a fact from experience. I had to really get out of my head about the anxiety and just be like, you're fine, you're fine. I use the same tactics as I did last time, which is to really just ignore the physical trigger, because you know, when you're stuck in the loop, the physical trigger triggers the loop, and I would have to tell myself like, it's fine, just ignore it, just ignore it, just ignore it. It's like, it feels like the biggest mental battle to like get yourself through something like this, and that's exactly what it felt like last time. It's just so exhausting because it's like mental, it's a mental battle, like you against you. And it just feels like you're going to war in your head over it. But I got myself through it through like, one, bypassing the physical symptoms. Like, this is just what I did. I'm not saying it's gonna work for anyone else. I'm not saying it's this easy for anyone else. Like, everyone is gonna have their own coping mechanisms. I would do breathing techniques, like in through one nostril, out through the other. Like, I learned it in like a anxiety yoga thing. I would do like that breathing exercise. That helped a lot. And also affirmations. Like, I had to like actually talk to myself out loud, like, you're okay, you're safe, you're healthy, you're fine. Anytime I would like really feel the anxiety like setting in. Towards the end of my little like rest slash vacation at home, we did some activities outside, and it felt so nice to get out of the house. I think that's another thing too, is like getting out and, you know, just getting outside. So that also really helped so much. Like, over the weekend, my neck pain basically went away, and I was just like amazed by it. I did pick up the muscle relaxers, let me just tell you. Today I was like, okay, let's just go get the medicine, because like I'm sick and tired of having this pain, because the pain is triggering the anxiety, and then the anxiety is making the pain worse. The worst cycle there is. And that's what I was going through. So before my neck hurt, I noticed that I wasn't getting really good sleep, and I did notice my neck started hurting during like when it was time for bed. So I don't know if it was the way I was like laying, or it was just like the anxiety kind of kicking in at night. So that was one thing. I noticed like my sleep wasn't that good. And then another thing I noticed was like my focus was really off, because I'm pretty disciplined in the morning when it comes to not checking my social media, and at night, you know, giving it a break. But lately I have just felt so attached to my phone, like just constantly on it, like even when we're in the car, when Russ is talking to me, when I'm at the gym. And I just knew, like I knew that was not good, and I knew that was a little bit off. So it was really disrupting my focus. And then I also did feel really burned out work-wise. Like, I didn't want to film. My energy was super like lethargic. It was hard to show up on TikTok live every day, and I just felt like my energy really was like depleting. But I kept pushing through and like trying to put on a happy face. That's another thing about social media, is like it's really hard to show up when you don't feel good, because you just feel like a fraud. And it's the hardest thing to show up when you don't feel good, because anyone can read energy, you know. And especially me, like I'm naturally a very optimistic and bubbly person. So like to not feel like that and still try to like show up like that was extremely difficult. And some people did say that they noticed that I was very fatigued. Now, like moving forward, I had way better balance when it comes to my phone. I've been not checking it in the morning or like at the gym until I'm done doing what I need to do for myself. Focusing at the gym. I started taking pre-workout again for the gym, like the smallest amount, and oh my god, it's changed the whole game for me and the gym. Like I'm so much more motivated and focused and have so much more endurance at the gym, and I'm already like super happy, like super elated about that. Like I like when I have a good workout, and I had felt like it's been months since I've had a good workout. Like I've been going for more walks throughout the day, so I'm not stuck at the computer or filming, getting some fresh air, getting some sun. And I also noticed that I kind of avoided talking to one of my best friends from home. Like every time she would call, I wouldn't answer. And it's just like I just couldn't turn it on. And I think that was, you know, looking back, another sign of how like in my head I was and not feeling like myself that I was, that I couldn't even pick up the phone. I couldn't really talk to her. And you know, we talked again recently and I felt so much better. I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to do this. Like I'm a very social person. I'm like, I don't get drained, you know, unless I normally get recharged by other people. Like being around people charges me up, recharges me. So being home alone, it does take a toll on me. Not actually talking to anybody. Like I know I go on live and I thought that would like suffice for social time, but it doesn't, because sometimes there's not conversation there all the time and I'm just kind of like talking to myself sometimes, which, you know, like it's no one's fault, but it just doesn't really count as like social time in my book. Yeah. So I definitely need to talk to friends more often, get out of the house a little more often, and I've been trying to take more steps throughout the day, better workouts, more focus, and now definitely a better work-life balance. I was going really hard. I was working every single day. I plan to not work on weekends anymore, and I plan to not work after dinner anymore, so I'm gonna have a hard cutoff time for myself. So I definitely just need to learn to prioritize my tasks better. But I got so many messages, like so many messages from you guys and your guys' struggles with anxiety and stress and depression, and my heart goes out to you guys so much. Like I can't even imagine dealing with this every day. Luckily I've only had it in kind of like bouts, like never on a daily basis or like a consistent basis, because now I don't have it at all anymore. It was just like that week, and that's what happened to me a couple years ago. It was just like a very specific time frame that I had like panic attacks. But yeah, I'm feeling so much better, feeling so grateful. And the fact that I thought like I couldn't take a break is just crazy, because I literally grew so much while I was gone. I feel like the universe like rewarded me for just letting go and knowing in my heart like everything was going to be there when I got back, and if not better than I left it, which is exactly how it is. Like I grew to 5K on Instagram. I have been working on that for so long now, and we hit it while I was gone not posting. So it's just like an ode to all the work that I did put in, unfortunately, that got me in this situation, and just like me trusting myself and the universe, what God and the universe have in store for me. Like no one can take it away from me if it's already mine. And I definitely will not be posting as much, because like I said, whatever's meant for me is already meant for me. Like I don't have to post every day in order for good things to happen to me. I have to be confident in my abilities and what's meant for me. So I'll just be posting a little bit less, just to keep my health, just to keep myself healthy in all ways, and just to let go a little bit of like the control and the need to show up so much in order to reap the benefits, because you know, we all are abundant. That's our birthright, and whatever's meant for us is meant for us, as long as we continue to work towards it and work hard, but don't overwork yourself, which is what I have learned from this, plus so many other things. And I also was listening to a podcast that my best friend sent me, and I took some notes, and I actually want to share it with you guys because I really loved it. I really loved it, and I actually ordered 3 books after that. So I'm just gonna share what I got from the podcast really quick. It's called Know Thyself Podcast, and it was an episode about the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is Mark Manson. And these are just some things that I wrote down from it that really resonated with me. And I want to share it with you guys. So if you want to be happy, don't chase happiness. And if you don't want to be sad, let yourself be sad. And I think that's so beautiful. And later on he says, the pursuit of a positive experience is a negative experience, and the acceptance of a negative experience is actually a positive experience. That belief is one of the fundamental things of Buddhism, because you know, when you chase things, that means you lack them. So chasing happiness, chasing positive moments, means you lack it. So that puts you already in the negative instead of the positive, rather than just being in the negative and seeing it for what it is and allowing it to pass and not resisting it. Which is the next one, also from Buddhism, I think, which is life is difficult, don't resist it, it's gonna be okay. And real freedom is found in limitation. And a lot of us mistaken freedom with optionality. And I thought this was so beautiful, and I'm gonna give you the two examples he gave, and also something else. I actually feel like discipline and good habits actually give you more freedom, and they don't limit you. But I feel like daily habits actually free you from so many other things that you may worry about. Like, they make you better and they give you more energy to do other things by having these daily habits that you stick to, the self-discipline. It's not limiting at all. It's actually very freeing for your life. And the examples he gave was, there's so many options in dating. So a lot of people are dating and they're jumping from one person to another without giving something a real try. And if you value like a relationship, a partnership, loyalty, all of those things, like, you have to really work towards it. But if you're just hopping around because you feel like there's so many options, then you're actually not getting to the core of what you actually want. Because you have so many options, you're not limiting yourself to make something work. Not saying making something that's not working work is the answer, but thinking you have so many options so you're not putting in the work to try in one place. Just like he says, if you have a choice between 2 cereal boxes, you're gonna choose which one you like more and you're gonna be happy with that decision. Versus if you have a choice to pick your favorite cereal out of 9 choices, you're gonna leave unhappy, because you're gonna feel like, yeah, you had a lot of options, yeah, you chose one you might like the most, but there were so many options you feel like you missed out on everything else. Having more options actually is not a good thing all the time. And lastly, he has his own law, Mason's law of avoidance, and he says we will avoid experiences in proportion to the amount that it threatens our identity, positive and negative. We sabotage it because it challenges how we see ourselves. And I thought that was so crazy and so true, and that's all ego, the way you identify. You know, you can't take a better job or a person, you can't like go out and meet new people even though you know it's going to be good for you, because doing these things changes your identity as a person, and you don't want to part ways with your identity or your ego. So you actually self-sabotage yourself from doing things that could be good for you or could be bad for you, but a learning experience, because you don't want change and you don't want your identity to change because it's too much for your ego to handle. So yeah, that is just some stuff I heard this morning and I really resonated with and loved and wanted to share with you guys. This is a little update, and I love you guys. Thank you guys for being there. I'm so grateful for this community. Like, I wake up every day grateful for it. So I will see you guys next week.